Just to speak on a couple different modifications you can use to try to get that motor control, get that motion memory. I'll talk about like 3 or 4 different progressions that I'm biggest fan of. 3-ball walk away drill. So if I'm throwing this way, I have 3 balls and I'm basically just going to start walking backwards, and you'll notice how I don't have time to get back here and counter rotate and all this stuff. So it's just short, sweet, and right to the point, and that forces me to kind of just retract as much as possible as I separate. Ready? So it's going to be like this, boom. Right? So I like that one for obviously the reasons that I mentioned just now, and the fact that as you're backpedaling, you're not going to have your body's energy. So it's going to force you to start feeling those powerful positions, and it's going to force you to truly decelerate your arm. Another thing that I see with infielders especially is, you know, as an infielder, what is the fear, right? The fear is making a bad throw, overthrowing or whatever. So you see a lot of infielders, very similar to how pitchers are with command, you know, trying to place the ball. So you see a lot of these types of athletes who will throw it and get this kind of finish here, kind of that pushing finish. So the progression that I just showed you with the walking behind, it really forces you to create that motor control of extension and really decelerating, right? So that one's probably my personal favorite. The next ones that I want to talk about are funnel retract throw. So this is just going to force that motor control of what we want. If you're a guy, this is a new glove, sorry. If you're a guy, as I mentioned, who has a lot of different checkpoints to get to, where they feel the ground ball and they get here, back, up, over, or even if you're a guy who, I see this a lot too, field the ground ball and then get up early. So this kind of goes to the point, especially as pitchers, early arm raise. Anytime we get this hand out like extremely early, a lot of youth throwers will lack the front side stability to really hold this, and they'll get over anxious. So their trunk will start to early, you know, premature rotation, which will then kind of get this glove side to fly out. And then what you'll see is their shoulder and their hip go as one, and they're not truly able to create that separation. Again, going back to a guy like Lindor, who I use as an example a lot of times when I'm working with infielder analysis clients, is, you know, everything's essentially like perfect as he funnels and then separates into his scap, and then in relation with his front foot, that hand gets up right before the front foot touches down. So then his hips are rotating. It's the same thing with pitchers, really. You're just on a slope. So the hips are rotating and you're into retraction. So then you create that separation, right? So this hip will rotate this way and then the shoulder won't rotate at all. So you create a good amount of stretch. It goes hand in hand with, you know, you can still create a ton of power output even if you don't have a long arm. Everyone thinks about this arm action being more powerful because you're creating leverage, and that's not the way that I look at leverage. So funnel retract, it's basically exactly what it sounds. So I'm going to go as if I'm throwing this way, and I'm going to do a makeshift. This is how I approach like pull downs in my throwing program, is I'm going to go shuffle, funnel, and then as I funnel into kind of my sternum, I'm just going to go straight into my 90 retraction and throw. Watch. Okay, very simple. Remember, I believe the feet match the hands and the hands match the feet. So the quicker we can be with our feet, the quicker we can be with our hands, and vice versa. The quicker that we can be with our hands, the quicker our feet will go. That's something that I believe. So again, funnel right into retraction, not funnel, long counter rotate, funnel, retract, and go. Feels pretty fuzzy coming out, dude. And then the next one, pinball throws. So if you're playing pinball, you pull the pin back, right, and hit it. It's kind of the same thing I look at as far as guys that struggle with feeling that arm action going into their retraction. So it's literally just that, where you kind of get here and you just kind of get this ball and go straight into back. So straight back, boom, and throw. So you're pulling the pin. I don't know why I named it, so go easy on me. So here, right? So you're trying to create that motor control. Pull back, and as you pull back, this front side will go and give you direction. Okay, and then the funnel to ear. So to over exaggerate this arm action, okay, so again, if you're a guy that knows you have a lot of different checkpoints too, now to over exaggerate, we need to come up more. As I mentioned with the funnel throw, we're funneling here, so there could be guys that still get to here and still have this separation down. So now we're going to overemphasize funnel right to the ear, and now we're separating throwing. Okay, funnel to the ear, separate, throw. Funnel, funnel to the ear, separate, throw. So you're really going to feel it if you go funnel to the ear and then down, back, up, right? So here it is. Funnel to the ear, separate and throw. Funnel to the ear. My feedback, and the reason why I am biased, as I'll mention a million times, is because like even doing this, these types of throws and being just compact and simple allows me to be repeatable. Like it comes out hot, dude. So don't think that you need to have this arm action to create leverage in your throw. You know, watch any good infielder, Jeters of the world, you know, same thing, funnel, just boom. You're leveraging your body and the way that your body moves in unison with your arm. So that's the biggest thing that I see. And again, even if you're a pitcher, I say you can take something away from these, because even the pitchers that I work with in my analysis service, if we're trying to make huge adjustments to an arm action and a hand path, and we have a little bit of time, these are the same progressions that I'll use with them, right? So a lot of the times these progressions are used, especially with pitchers, because they're POs and they get away from the emphasis of the feet. So now we need to put them in settings where the feet is a huge emphasis and we can move these feet. So then our hands could speed up. And then as soon as our hands speed up, you'll start seeing just a natural byproduct is not so much difference in here. It's just boom, separate and throw, right? Boom. Gosh, that's all-state shortstop. All right, hopefully you got something out of that. Yeah, that's the one. But hopefully those progressions can give you some good feedback. Again, I would take some video if you're trying to overhaul your arm action, infielder, pitcher, doesn't matter. Take video and kind of show, you know, it's giving that instant feedback, right? So now you have that feel versus real. Well, this is what I feel, but this is what it's showing, because a lot of times if we're trying to make a huge adjustment, it's going to feel one way, but it's going to look the exact opposite.